Hi everybody, Kim Marshall here, Roots and Wings. I'm coming to you today with an important topic that I think is really timely. We're going to be talking about supporting your child's immune system as we head into the fall and winter season. So this is important, especially during a season of change. Not only is your child starting school and exposed to a new environment and lots of other children and extra germs, but the seasons are changing and the weather is changing. So you're going to find that in the upcoming weeks, the adrenaline is going to wear off a little bit. And especially as the sun changes and the light gets darker, we tend to get a little bit more sluggish. We tend to slow down a little bit, and you'll find that all that kind of catches up with them. You're gonna find maybe, or maybe not, that they're coming home with some runny noses and all those symptoms that kind of come along with cold and flu season. So I thought I'd bring some of this information to you now so that you can be armed and prepared, and I definitely want to hear from you too. I'm going to share my personal experience with you today, but of course I'm not a medical professional. I'm just a mom and a teacher, and I'm going to share my experience with health and wellness with you, and then I'd love to hear from you in the comment below what you're doing to support your family. So of course I'm going to share a couple things that are working for me and working for my family, but that's personal, and you can definitely check with your physician and see if this is something that would be right for you. So I'm going to share some things with you now, and my approach is a preventative approach. Like anybody who has sought health, usually they have been ill, and I have kind of come full circle. As a teacher, I had to build my immune system. In my early years of teaching, I was very sick every single time we had a break in the school year. I fell very ill with strep throat, and I had to take multiple rounds of antibiotics a year. And so no one really warned me about what that long-term consequence would be. And when it came to my children, I mean, nothing wakes you up more to health than becoming a mother. I know that you can relate to that. So this message will be for you if you are taking ownership of your health, and if you want to prevent illness and be proactive. That's the approach that I like to take, so that our children will really benefit from this. Why is it important to build our immune systems? Because we want attendance in kindergarten. We want your children to be coming to school and feeling connected, and not only being there, but really thriving and really being there to the best that they can, and not fighting infections. Obviously, we don't want to avoid every single bug. It's going to happen, especially depending on the environment that your child came from. But environments like kindergarten classrooms are large, lots of children, lots of toys that are shared, lots more independence, which means they're going to be sneezing and blowing their nose and washing their hands with a lot less supervision. So germs do get spread, and we want them at school. We want them feeling happy, and we also know that we want parents to be at work. So, sometimes this takes a little bit of extra time, potentially a little bit of extra money, but you have to ask yourself, can I afford not to do it? Can I afford not to sort of think about this in advance? How much time do I want to be away from my job or away from, my life, because you're healing illness? So your child will catch things, and that's okay. We want to think about the severity and the duration of them, so that they can bounce back quickly, and that they can regain the strength and participate in all their regular activities. So I have a couple of ideas that I'm going to share with you about my personal journey and what I'm doing with my family on a regular basis. And that seems to be working for us, but obviously you're always sort of assessing the situation and adapting as needed. So now that my daughter is back to school, the winter season is setting in. We're gonna make sure that she is supported with the basics. And the basics, in my mind, are always good sleep and good nutrition. And that's why you see videos on here about those topics. I really believe firmly in preparing your child for school and so that they can show up feeling ready to learn. And so we do have a video on here about those topics. You can search them in the search bar. We have expert panel members talking about each of those. So please, if you're new to the group, look those up. All right, so included in nutrition is going to be your water intake too. Always allow your child to drink as much water as they can on an ongoing basis. In my classroom, the children always have water bottles and they're accessible to them throughout the day. I think drinking water is very important and very healthy for brain development and for learning and for alertness. So push the water as much as you can, and maybe you won't know how much they're drinking during the day, but you can control how much they're drinking in the morning and the evening. So push the water for sure. That can go a long way in terms of prevention. Okay, so the next thing is definitely going to be proper hand washing. This is something you can teach your child. It's something that we instruct in the classroom, especially in junior kindergarten. When they're washing their hands multiple times a day, they should be washing their hands after they use the bathroom. They should always be washing their hands before they eat. So I see this all the time. I see children really rush this step, and it can go a long way if we teach our child the proper way to wash their hands. And so what I'm seeing a lot of is they get the soap on their hands and they kind of hold it under the water, the soap falls off, and they're basically just rinsing. So what you should be doing at home is teaching them to wet their hands first and then get the soap, remove their hands from the water, and suds up. So I'm always saying, let's see lots of bubbles, let's see scrub, scrub, scrub. We want to do the insides, we want to do the outsides, and we want to do in the fingers and the fingernails, so all those crevices. So they really want to suds up out of the water. That's when the hand washing happens. That's when the germs are being removed, and then they go into the water and rinse. So sometimes you can even ask them to sing the alphabet while they're making all those bubbles, or count to 10 slowly. That can help. And I really feel strongly about hand washing. And if you are doing good sleep, good nutrition, and hand washing, you are really setting your child up for success. And you can avoid a lot of things if those are going right. So let's just be preventative about that. And then on top of that, we can talk about supplementation. So I have a regimen that I do with my family. You probably do some of these things too. So I'll just share with you really briefly what that looks like and what I'm using. And then we're gonna talk about at the end of this video, just a couple things in my experience that came up with my daughter in kindergarten so far, right? We're not through it yet. We're halfway through the 2-year program. I see these things happening with my students too, so it's interesting when some of these things happen to your own children. Despite your best efforts, right? They're just gonna pop up. So if you know about them ahead of time and you have a little bit of information, maybe you're gonna feel empowered to take control. And obviously when our children fall ill, we need to have the tools right at our fingertips. We don't have the time to do the research and ask the questions. We need to take action. So I'll just walk you through some supplements that we use. First of all, this isn't really a vitamin, but Greens Plus has a really great product full of superfoods. If you're worried about how much your child is eating in terms of fruits and vegetables, I love this product. You can just take a scoop and put it into water. I really like this, especially in the winter for us when there's not as much fresh produce. It basically just turns into juice. Okay, so that's something that you might want to know about. On an ongoing basis, everybody can benefit from vitamin D. So I love the brand St. Francis. It's a good quality. Vitamin D is something that almost every person living in Canada is deficient in, and if you do a little bit of research on vitamin D, it helps almost every bodily function. So it's definitely a great choice for the whole family. It's going to support your kindergarten child for sure. Okay, and then another one, my daughter takes a DHA. Nordic Naturals is a great brand, but there's several. You can talk to someone at your health food store about what might be available where you live, but avoid the stuff at the grocery store. Go high quality whenever you can. It's always going to be worth the money because you're going to avoid products that are synthetic. You want the real stuff, you want it to work, and you want it to support their body in all the right ways. So that's a vitamin D, a DHA, which is fish oil. Okay, that's going to be really great for the brain as it's growing to support the brain. And Deep Immune, another St. Francis. This is awesome stuff. I'm sure there'll be some people listening to this who have used this product. And Deep Immune Kids is something that my daughter just takes regularly during seasons of change. Like every evening, we'll just, it's delivered in a dropper. So they're not old enough yet for the capsules, so this stuff is really convenient. And it's a tincture basically. It's gonna have a whole bunch of things to help prevent things that might start. So that's a good one, especially October, November, all through the winter if you want. And then as soon as you see the runny noses starting to happen, if it's a clear runny nose, then you can still catch it. You can still reverse that. And I always increase water when that happens. I also stop dairy because that will produce more mucus, and I stop sugar intake. So that's also going to help prevent more bacteria from forming. And it's really all about the gut. We want to nurture the gut so that the things that are happening, the good bacteria in the gut and in the intestine are really optimal, and they're building the right bacteria. So on top of the D and the fish oil, our other third go-to is a probiotic, and that right now is in our fridge. We keep it refrigerated, but I love the brand Genestra. We use the HMF powder, but they have a whole selection, even an infant and an adult version. So that's a really good one that I recommend. That's definitely going to nurture the gut. It's going to be especially important if your child does require an antibiotic. You can definitely do the probiotic in combination to the antibiotic, or start immediately after if you haven't already. So then once that runny nose starts going from clear to green, then you have an infection starting in. So extra rest, and then that's when I'll start a tincture like echinacea. Okay, and that's a little bit more strong. My daughter knows that one is the yucky one. It has a very strong taste, not like the others that kind of go down easy, but it works. It works really well. And then vitamin C, of course. This one is a capsule, so what I'll do is I'll basically like unscrew the two pieces of that cap and then shake about half in her mouth, because 500 milligrams would be enough for a child that age. And then one more thing I wanted to share with you that I've really enjoyed is magnesium. Most people are also deficient in magnesium. If you have a child who has aches and pains from growing pains when they're going through a little bit of a growth spurt, or if they have a tendency to sort of have anxiety, have, that tension building up, magnesium can really calm and relax the body. There's also magnesium in Epsom salt, so doing an Epsom salt bath at night is a great idea because they will absorb that magnesium through their skin, and that can be really effective too. So that's really quickly what I'm using, and if you're interested or using any of those things, you can let us know, or you can contact your family physician and ask about those items. And then some things that came up with us last year, the growing pains for sure. Sometimes my daughter would have some aches and pains and just require like a little bit of massage. So I would use some essential oils and a carrier oil, and I would just sort of rub her joints or her legs, those big muscles, before she went to bed. That seemed to be effective. And the tummy aches, those are a big one for this age group. In my class, I hear about tummy aches, and that can mean a number of things. So this is when language can become really important, and you can teach your child to really ask for help and be able to verbalize what they're feeling. If I'm hearing I have a tummy ache, I'm going to be asking that child, or I'm going to ask my own child, what kind of a tummy ache is it? Is that a hungry tummy? Is that a tummy that needs to go use the bathroom, right? Proper nutrition and lots of hydration is really going to support the body into eliminating regularly, okay? So constipation can come up in kindergarten if they are not comfortable using the bathroom at school, or they're holding until they get home, okay? So sometimes that's a tummy that needs to have a bowel movement. Sometimes that's a tummy that feels nervous. So is that a nervous tummy? Is that a hungry tummy? Is that a tummy that needs to use the toilet? Or is that a worried tummy? Okay, it can also mean that, I'm thinking about mom at school, or I'm feeling worried about my day because I'm not sure what's going to happen next. And very common in the early days when their routine isn't established and there's so much new to them. So we can really help our child by identifying what those different kinds of tummy aches are, so that when they're in the school environment, they can tell the teacher how they're feeling, because the teacher won't be able to help them unless they know what's happening. Okay, something that happened last year to me that was a big surprise, and here I am at home with an infant, and my 4, almost 5-year-old was teething. I didn't even know this was a thing. She cut her 6-year molars when she was 4.5. So I'm not surprised. She was early to teeth as a baby. I didn't even know there was such thing as a 6-year molar, so I was not seeing this coming. I was not expecting it, but I was in her mouth flossing for her, and I'm seeing this new tooth in the back poking through. It's halfway through, and I'm just like, what is this? I'm asking her if she's been uncomfortable. She had actually complained to me about her mouth hurting, and I thought it was her cheek. I thought she had bit her cheek or something. I had no idea. I had to call the dentist and figure out, why she had this tooth growing in the back, and figured out it was her 6-year molars. So be aware that that is something that might be happening inside your child's body. And all of these things are going to cause like an element of stress, right? An element of discomfort. So again, if we're proactive and we know that that is something that they might be dealing with, then we can sort of accommodate and support them through it. And then another really common issue for the for the people watching today with daughters, urinary tract infections happen in kindergarten. I see them frequently, and it happened with my daughter last year. This is a time when they're asked to wipe by themselves. They don't always know how to do it properly. Maybe they're forgetting to wipe. So I always tell parents, keep working on it at home. Keep showing them, keep asking them to be independent. But they're going to need to be cleaned. At night, they should be taking a bath, especially little girls. And if you can't have a full bath every night, doing a sitz bath is a great idea for little girls. Just fill the sink with some lukewarm water and have their bottom just kind of soaking in that water so that it can clean and clear that area. So wiping can be a cause for a UTI. So can holding. I've heard bubble baths can be an issue, so that's something that we had to change, because bubble baths were something that we really enjoyed in the winter, and my daughter, that was part of her bath time, was bubble baths. So you might want to be aware that that could cause issues, or after the bubble bath, maybe you just do a little bit of clear water after that, just to make sure that there's no residue. And dehydration can definitely cause a UTI and cause some discomfort. So it wasn't loud and clear to me. It wasn't a fever. It wasn't burning. So you need to be sort of, you need to figure out what's normal for your child, and then kind of go from there. For my daughter, it was frequency of peeing, so she all of a sudden needed to go all the time, and then when she did sit on the toilet, not a lot came out. So I thought this was behavioral. I thought she just had some anxiety around toileting, and she was taking the bus, so she actually had to hold her pee for a long time one day on the bus. She got really worried about having an accident, and then this started happening where she wanted to pee and use the potty all the time, and I thought it was just her overcompensating and not ever wanting to have that feeling of an emergency. And it turned out that it was a lot more, and it never really got serious. It never got into the kidney. It never caused a fever, but we did do a protocol for that, and it cleared up without antibiotics. So you can go to the doctor, you can have a urine sample done if you're ever worried about that, and you can try, there are natural things if you want, if you are inclined to do that before you go to the doctor for a prescription. And then I want to tell you that we have a new expert panel member. I want to introduce a great person, a great woman, a wonderful force in my life, someone that's taught me a lot. Her name is Dr. Michelle Paris, and she is our family physician. She is a naturopathic doctor working in Oakville. She's just opened up her own clinic called the Poppy Clinic. You're going to want to check that out. I have gone to her with some questions, and I've interviewed her so that you can hear a little more about that. And if you're interested in naturopathic services, if you have benefits through work and you're not seeing a naturopathic doctor, you are definitely missing out. This is someone that can really build health in your life. This is someone that can really get to know you and your family and empower you with acute and chronic solutions so that you can take a preventative approach with health in your family. And she's absolutely fantastic. She has great energy, and I'm so pleased that she is joining us on our expert panel, because she's going to add a ton of added value to this page. So welcome, Dr. Michelle, and she goes by Dr. Mom if you want to look her up online. So I think that's it. Share with us below, comment about what you're doing to help support your family through this season of change, And I wish you nothing but health and happiness through the fall and into the winter season. The temperatures are getting cooler and the sun is setting earlier. You can feel it. You can feel the change. And I hope that we're all prepared to support our children and to support ourselves, right? Because we can't help the littles if we ourselves aren't happy and thriving and healthy. So all the best, and thank you for listening today. Bye.